But see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save the typical family $500 a month. And that's huge, but it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The customer satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. MediShare works. It's been around for more than a quarter century, and members have shared more than $3 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. 833-32-BIBLE. That's 833-32-BIBLE. 833-32-BIBLE.
My greatest accomplishment as a dad or a husband, would be that I'm still married. Not that sounds impossible, but I grew up, my parents divorced when I was 3. And so just being together is incredibly important to me. I don't know how much I get credit for this, but one of my greatest joys is the fact that my kids love each other. And I have 5 kids, and they get along so well. And, that's what we've always dreamed of, is one day that when they're adults, they just want to be back here and be with us. And man, I can't get my oldest to leave. He just loves being home. And I'm the guy that would probably let him live with me forever, because I just love having them around. And so as a whole, like the fact that I'm a father and a husband, I have 5 kids, and it's just all the crazy stuff that happened with MercyMe was more of a reality than me having a successful family, because I'd never seen an example of it.
This is CIA, Contagious Influencers of America, from the producers of Keep the Faith. I'm David Sams. Bart Millard is my special guest today, and of course he was with us on our very first episode of CIA with Amy Grant. That's been some time ago. He was here, right before the premiere of his big biopic, which was of course called I Can Only Imagine, which was named, after their MercyMe's big hit song, I Can Only Imagine. So, it's so good to have had him back here at the homestead. He's always so great to visit with, and he's going to bring us up to speed on what he and the band, what they've been up to for the last year and a half or so, including recording this new album, Inhale, Exhale. And I can't wait for him to share this story with you. It's truly remarkable. So let's get right to the interview that I recently did with MercyMe's lead singer, Bart Millard. Testing 1, 2, test.
Pretty close.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Feel like I'm doing a game show in 1973.
Bachelor number 2.
Yes. I've been watching. I launched Jeopardy. I launched Wheel and Jeopardy.
What?
Yeah,
no, I didn't know that.
I launched Wheel of Fortune, Jeopardy, and the Oprah Show in the 80s.
For real?
Yeah, I was head of program.
I knew about Oprah, but I didn't know about the other 2.
Yeah. I headed up program development and marketing for King World. We were a small little company, but the reason I bring that up is, they're testing all these hosts now.
Oh yeah,
and it's just so weird.
Yeah.
First of all, they're making all of these decisions. There's sort of these polarizing people. Mm-hmm. Either you love them or you don't. Yeah. And it's like, I just don't know why they didn't bring back all of the game show hosts, like Wing Martindale and Chuck Woolery.
Who knew it was going to be so hard? I mean, he definitely irreplaceable, but who knew it would be this, unless they're trying to see what boost rating. I don't know what they're looking for. If is trying everybody out actually helping ratings? Like, I watched when Aaron Rodgers was, I don't.
How'd he do?
He did okay. He did better than I thought.
Yeah.
And he seriously wanted to be the normal host and play football. Like, he loved it. But he did fine, but it was more like, it was gimmicky. Like, it was fine for maybe not the right reasons. I mean, he did great. Every once in a while he would, he's a pretty smart guy, but he would almost be like shocked by a certain answer. Like, oh, I didn't know that. And,
yeah.
It's kind of hard to be the normal host of Jeopardy.
Well, there is no replacing Alex.
Right.
He was one of a kind.
Yeah.
Definitely. Now, you've never replaced a band member, have you?
No, we've added band members. Like Barry came in, it's probably been 15 years ago, but we We never replaced one though. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be weird, wouldn't it?
It would be. Yeah. We've had our keyboard player.
Have you come close?
No, well, I guess our keyboard player quit probably, I don't know, 8 or 9 years ago. Just wanted to be home, and so we contemplated getting a keyboard player, especially when Imagine's all piano, but just couldn't do it. So our bass player literally learned to play piano and took over. He plays the beginning of Imagine. When the band kicks in, he goes to bass, and so we couldn't replace him, and so we just went from 6 to 5 members.
When you have a camaraderie like that for all those years, and you go through stuff together, I mean, obviously it's like a family, right?
Sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's we call it, like, people ask, like, we didn't realize it was such a big deal. We've been a band for 27 years. Started in '94, and virtually the same guys that, some of them came on a couple of years after that, but we didn't realize it was such a big deal that we actually like each other and get along. And we did a music video for one of our new songs last week, and Steve Taylor, we got him to direct it. And afterwards, he sent us the sweetest letter. He said, "Man, the last video I've directed was Kiss Me by Sixpence 22 years ago in Paris, France." And he goes, "This is the most fun I've had." He goes, "Because I'm starting to think you guys really like each other." And he goes, "Y'all get along like you're a brand new band with the whole future in front of you." And we've just always been family, and it's almost like a marriage. Like, I guess we treat it like divorce isn't an option. Like, we're all trying to avoid hard labor, so let's make this work as long as we can. And we still get along with each other. Yesterday we did interviews at the studio, and we were done by noon, and we stuck around for another 5 hours just hanging out with each other. And we've always been that way.
Now the last time you were in here was for the movie. Mm-hmm. I Can Only Imagine, and that was what, 4 years ago? 3 years ago?
Let's see, it came out like spring of 18.
So you were here like a month before that, I think.
Yeah.
How has life changed since then? What impact did the movie have on you and the rest of the band?
It had a huge impact on us. We had no idea what we were getting into, and had no idea it was going to be as successful as it was. And 20 years ago or however long ago, when Imagine went to mainstream radio, that was crazy, and we thought we'll never see something like that again. But the movie's a whole different kind of crazy. Like, it's like a sprint, and it's amazing how hard they hit it, and for such a short period of time. Like, you're lucky to be in a box office for 6 to 8 weeks, maybe. I think we're in for 9, and it was just nonstop promotion. Like, that's all we did, and then all of a sudden, done. You're out of the box office, and you give it a few months before DVD comes out, and it's just like, it was a weird, like, silence afterwards, where we're used to releasing 3 singles and 2.5 years of an album or whatever, and it's more of a marathon. But just just how fast and how hard they go, and then the response, and just it was mind blowing. And so it was exhausting, and it was a whirlwind, and then from that point on, up until the pandemic, when we stopped touring, just never had no idea of how much basically the entire brand increases with the success of the movie. Your shows get bigger, and to where we, at some point we had to, like, learn to start saying no to stuff, because it would have been nonstop and exhausting. And we knew from when the song went mainstream, like, hey, we need to slow down and make sure to enjoy this, because this is just a weird, crazy time that doesn't happen to most people. And so we did the best we could.
Now, I'm sure you guys made enough money to get a new pool, right? Did you all get a pool? All the band members?
No. I got a pool during the pandemic, which I was like, we just got it, and then the pandemic hit, and I was like, I would like to change my mind, because we stopped touring, but the pool went in. But it's funny, because we didn't make a ton directly from the movie, but because of touring, everything increased. It was a success that we'd never seen before, and grateful. The coolest thing about it, honestly, was we have about, I don't know, maybe 15 or 16 people on full-time salary with insurance and everything, and all this stuff was happening, and our drummer is our financial guy too, and so he was stressing about, man, I don't know what the taxes look like on this kind of stuff, and so he was saving way more than he probably should have, not knowing what it was going to look like. Taxes turned out to be not as bad as we thought, but then the pandemic hit, and we were able to keep everyone completely on staff. We just worried that we wanted them to have insurance, not knowing what the pandemic was going to be, and so we've been able to keep them on this whole time. We'll be tapped out when it's over, but it's like that's more fun than all of us buying a pool. Like to do something that's worthwhile, and these guys are family to us, and so we were happy to keep it afloat, and now we're ready to do shows and build it back up.
So this new album that you have coming out, is that, by the way, is that what you still call these things, or albums?
I do, yeah. Yeah. I don't know what else you call it. You can't call it a disc, but this new files that you have.
The new files, yeah. It's so cool. You know, did you know I'm actually on Spotify as an artist?
Oh, really? Yeah. I did not know that. You're telling me all kinds of new stuff today. I didn't know.
No, years ago I did a show called Roller Games. So it was reinventing roller derby.
Yeah.
On a figure 8 track with a wall of death, a sky jump, and a live alligator pit.
That's crazy.
And my music guy, I co-wrote the theme song and all that with him, but he said, hey, just for the heck of it, let's have you do the Violators. That's one of the bad guy teams. Let's have you do the theme song. I'm not even going to tell you what it is. You can go on Spotify.
Can I search roller games, or what am I looking at?
You can actually put David Sams. Now, by the way, there's another David Sams that does really bad. Sorry. Right. He does.
Hope you're not listening, David.
He does some kind of instrumental stuff, and I have no idea. Well,
so if there are no words, it's not you. Is that what you're saying?
No. In my words, I did a song for the Violators, and the title is Kick Butt.
Okay. All right. I know what I'm doing on my way home today.
I don't know how I got off on that. These days, it just seems like you go on Spotify and play an album.
Yeah.
Right? Mm. Now, do you actually make money off of that? I mean, it's all streaming?
They say we do. It doesn't seem like much, but that'd be a label question. I know it's, pennies on the dollar as far as they have different algorithms as far as every time it streams, it's so much. And then, and then X amount of streams will add up to almost like they were buying an album and this kind of stuff. I'm not sure how it works, but yeah, we get paid some, but it's not like it, like it used to be, I guess.
So really an album is more or less a promotional tool for the events, for the tour, right? For radio.
I mean, sadly, it feels like that. I mean, we still focus it all around the album, but yeah, it's they kind of all work together, I guess. I mean, it's a weird time to when, it's my kids were asking, one of my kids was asking trying to ask what Spotify and Apple Music and all that. And he goes, so we're renting the music? And I was like, yeah, I guess you kind of are. You're renting files.
Although you can download it.
Yeah, you can. I think they were telling us that they're, actual vinyls or more vinyls are sold in a year than downloads these days.
Oh my gosh.
Nobody pays for downloads. They just subscribe and stream.
But a song to you means just as much now as it ever did. Your heart and soul goes into a song. So let's talk about this new project that you have and why you decided to put these songs out and what these songs mean and how your music has sort of evolved over this many years.
Gosh, after the movie, our last album that we released was Lifer, which was 2017. Movie came out in 2018. They released like a greatest hits, but it really wasn't us recording anything. I think we did one new song. So as far as a full album, it'll be a little over 4 years by the time this one releases, which is an eternity, for us. And it would have been sooner, but because of the pandemic and other things, this album took about I think it was 2 years and 1 month to from beginning to end. And like, it's so crazy. Our first single, Almost Home, will be a year and a half old by the time the album releases, which meant when that came out, we should have released an album a couple months later. Yeah. And that's when the pandemic hit. And so we literally slowed everything down just so that we would have something to work on and feel a little normal during the pandemic. And so we kind of wiped the slate clean and started rewriting. It was weird to have an album almost finished before everything went crazy and not wait and kind of write through that season, because we knew that songs were going to come out of that. And so we kind of wiped the slate clean. The label wasn't going to release the album because we weren't touring. We didn't know when that was going to be, and they didn't either. And so we were like, well, we'll just take our time, and spent, over a year. We just finished the record like beginning of March of this year. And so we spent the entire time, we wrote about 40 something songs, and then just the hardest part was trying to figure out what was going to actually be the album. And so even the album title changed, everything changed because of the pandemic. Originally, I think the first album title was called, like, I didn't know how many songs were going to be in the album, but say it was 13, it was going to be called 13 Reasons to Keep Going. And then that was kind of my example. But then there was a Netflix show that was 13 Reasons or something like that apparently was not a good show. It had dealt with suicide, stuff like that. And so we were like, we probably should steer clear of that. And so then we were going to call the album Spaceman.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was, Almost Home video it was about an astronaut trying to get through this world. And then when the pandemic hit, it just like, man, I just don't know if that's it. It feels like it's, a year and a half since that song. It just felt like it kind of passes by. And so we caught ourselves throughout the pandemic. We kept saying, man, I just want to make a record that gives people a chance to just take a deep breath and remember what matters, because everything's so crazy now. And I guess I said it enough to where the title became Inhale, Exhale. And the cover's like a set of, like, this, this piece of art, it's a set of lungs. And, some of it was intentional, but I think what was unintentional was that realizing by the time we were done, the whole album feels like a timestamp to the season we were in. Because truthfully, they're going to talk about this 100 years from now like they do the Spanish flu. It's just a crazy time we're in.
Yeah.
And I've been in a band long enough to where I feel like everything for me is, my albums remind me what time that was. Like, my son was born around Coming Up to Breathe. My daughter was undone, that kind of stuff. And so this album kind of, for us, being, when we look back, we'll remember this pandemic and what we went through in making this record. And that was important to us. And everything on it reflects that. People are asking, how'd you change your message? And I was like, I don't know if I changed it a lot, because my message has been the same. It's like, you've got to let go of your past and don't let fear dictate what you do. And that's the message I had before. It just really applies with what we're going through, especially the fear part. And so don't know if the message changed, but the songs definitely did. And I'll tell you, man, the spring, when all of it hit, you and I were just talking about being at that same, I still believe that was the night the NBA shut down and travel was banned out of the U.S. during that movie.
Oh, I know.
And we literally, like, that's kind of like when the world stopped, was in the middle of that movie.
Yeah,
it's like heartbreaking for Jeremy. But in that, man, it's like when the Titanic started going down, every musician on the planet jumped on the lifeboat that is YouTube and social media and started posting the most emotional, gut-wrenching songs that were beautiful, but I was getting hit from every direction. It felt like I was watching The Notebook like 11 times a day. Like, it was so heavy. And so we were like, man, we just want to make somebody laugh, just somebody smile for a second. And so we put out Hurry Up and Wait. With the album wasn't even close to being done. We begged the label if we could just put this song out there just so we could make the music video where I'm just in my pajamas stuck in a cabin. It's pretty funny. And so that became our motto. It was like, hey, if it doesn't rip your heart out on this album, it needs to make them dance. And so the one big thing that changed is that, we pulled back on the kind of emotional. There's a couple of powerful moments, but most of the album, we hope, like, it's the kind of stuff that you get caught dancing in your car at a red light when nobody's watching. And it's just that's what we wanted to come out of this, was people go, I have a reason to dance again. So,
well, we're gearing up on the show to do a whole series of themes around the whole idea of coming out of the dark.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we're ever going to want to talk about this after this year. It's just one of those things that you just don't want to look back in the rear view mirror.
Yeah.
It's just been so bizarre, the whole thing.
Yeah, it has been. And it's just, for me personally, the way I deal with it, I have enough heavy in my life that, it's like, some people will come out of the dark in tears saying, thank God it's over. I will come out in a dead sprint dancing, if, that's the way I approach stuff. And so it shows up in our music. And so we've got Disco Song with Gloria Gaynor, and it's just so much fun to make this record, and really proud of it. And just, I think I love the timing of it. It's just like, we're starting to see light at the end of the tunnel, and hopefully people can connect with the album and enjoy it.
Take me through 3 or 4 of the tracks,
Sure.
Your favorites.
Man, there's a couple, probably three that come to mind. That the first one that I love is "On Our Way." It's a song my 19-year-old son, is featured on. He was writing it with a couple of friends, and the chorus was just, I loved it. And we were like, man, this should go on the MercyMe record, which is kind of an awkward conversation because at first he was like, I don't know, and I was like, buddy, it's just a great opportunity, and I got a chance to finish the verses with him. I tried to sing a vocal, just a demo to show him, and my voice was shot, so I had him sing the back half, and he wasn't meant to sing on it, but after letting him hear that, the label was like, man, let's keep him on it. And so it was a pretty proud moment to co-write a song with my son and him be featured on it was amazing. And so it turned out great, and he's super talented. And then, one of the other songs is a song called "Let Yourself Be Loved," and it's probably one of the more important messages on the album, in my opinion. And the whole thing is about, man, I used to think that, when the Bible says love your neighbor as yourself, I used to think that we were not very good at it, especially in today's day and age. But I couldn't really put two and two together, because if Christ is in me, I'm this new creation. Why are we so bad at that? And then I started thinking, maybe we're actually really good at it. Maybe we're incredibly good at it. The problem is we don't love ourselves. And so that's just kind of reflecting on other people. And so the whole idea of the song was, man, if we've got to figure out how we can look ourselves and look in the mirror and love what we see. And so the chorus says, "Let yourself be loved, see yourself as Jesus does, hear him say that you're enough." And I think it's incredibly important, because until we figure that out, it's going to be hard to make much difference. And then the single that's out currently, called "Say I Won't," is pretty special. It's about the video is about a friend of ours named Gary Miracle. He's our first merch guy 25 years ago, who got really sick right before the pandemic, and he had a blood infection and basically they almost lost him, put him on life support, and when they realized they were going to be able to save him, he was on life support for so long that they knew they were going to have to take his arms and his legs. And so when he came out of that, his attitude was unbelievable, and his outlook on life. And because of the pandemic, we were watching from a distance, and I started writing "Say I Won't," and it started out as more of understanding who you are in Christ and your identity. And when you know what you have, there's nothing you can't do. But by the time he kind of came through this, he just became part of the song, and it became more of this overcomer kind of Rocky moment, where it just says, you keep saying that I can't do something, and I'll keep proving you wrong. And by the time we finished the song, I knew I wanted it to be the first single, and we couldn't tour or be in front of our fans, and so we decided we needed to make a pretty powerful video just to reach people. And just thought, man, I wonder if Gary would let us tell a story. And so we went to him, and he was emotional and super excited about it. And it's something, I don't think I would have ever done it if I didn't know him for so long, and he trusted us. And just, it's been really cool to be on this journey with him. We did Good Morning America the other day, and just, he was a rock star, man. It was just awesome to watch him. And, he said, he goes, I'm emotionally, I don't know if I'm ready to be on stage speaking. And I was like, well, man, let us tell your story and do kind of the heavy lifting for a while. And so he'll pick and choose what he's a part of, and he's killing it. And it's been really cool. We've created a monster, because daily he'll be like, "Hey, it's slowing down on the charts. What are y'all doing?" And we're like, "Easy there, pal. We know what we're doing."
He's playing your role.
Yeah, he totally. I got one manager. I can't pay that twice.
How do you decide which is the single? What's going to be the lead generator, the big song? Is that a label decision, or do you go in there and say, "This is it"?
I think for most artists, it would be a label decision. We've had an incredible relationship with our label to where we just kind of agree to mutually agree. But typically, they want whatever I'm really passionate about, because they know that we'll get behind it. And so, but I would never push something on them if they were really alarmed by it. But we've always been on the same page. And so, but it's like with "Say I Won't," I went to them before the album was done and said, this has got to be the single. And they weren't sure at first, but man, if you say so, let's do it. We don't want to put out a song that you're not fond of. And so, so it usually starts with us, and they know the ones that we're super excited about. And yeah. So the hard part now is just figuring out which two or three songs that you may get will be singles. That's harder to choose, because there's a lot of songs we think should be, but you just can't put them all out there. There's not enough time to put them all as radio singles. So the challenge will be the next two.
So you've been at this now for what, 20, how many years?
27 as a band. And our
27 years.
Yeah.
And you have not fired anybody.
No,
how's that even possible?
Well, you know what? We may have fired Gary Miracle. He was a terrible merch guy. He was awful. He knows it too.
So this is his payback. You give him a song.
Right. Yes, that's right. Yeah, you get a song now. We're sorry about you not being able to sell T-shirts.
But I mean, that's just crazy. I mean, I've never heard of such a thing. 27 years, same guys in the band.
Man, we all want to avoid hard labor as much as possible. And so we did 6 albums on our own, and we signed in 99 or 2000. So it's been 21 years since our first kind of national release. But yeah, same guys for the most part.
What's been the secret of keeping it together?
Man, I don't know. I mean, we're really close, and it's kind of like a marriage, I guess, and maybe divorce isn't an option. I don't know, but we just really enjoy being around each other. We don't take ourselves too seriously, but at the same time, we all kind of have the same vision of what MercyMe is and the message. And yeah, I don't know. It's funny because I didn't realize it was that unique until people outside of us are like, man, you guys actually like each other.
Yeah,
What's going on? And we're like, are there bands that don't like each other? And he goes, oh yeah, there's a lot. And I was like, okay, well, we still go to our kids' birthday parties and hang out and all that.
Yeah. So, is there a second movie? I mean, look, the first one did what, $100 million or something, 80 million at the box office,
something like that, yeah.
Plus the DVDs and everything else, right? Yeah. So it was no little movie. It was quite. By the way, there's only one poster hanging in here. You see which one that is, right?
Yes, I saw that. I thought, man, he got that hung quick. He knew I was coming.
Yeah. Whoever comes in here.
Yeah, it's time to go. Matthew West is on his way. Move. You got to change the wall hangings.
It's like being a single guy. You just put a different girl's picture up.
Totally. Yes. So true.
But is there a second movie? What would it be?
No, I don't. No, there's not a second movie.
No.
But yeah, I don't know what it would be. We get a lot of questions. The reason the book kind of came about, the book I wrote while the movie's being made, because people had questions and just wanted to clarify how things went in the movie, and then kind of what happened after. It kind of ends where Imagine takes off, and so it's been 20 years since then, And so, yeah, we've told that story and stuff, but no, there's not another movie. It's funny how I've gotten involved with some movie ideas and stuff like that, just because I guess people assumed I was involved in making it, which I wasn't. And the Irwins that directed, they were laughing on every script that they would get from somebody. I would get 5. They would just send them to me, just making sure hey, do you make movies? And so
yeah.
It was interesting, the stuff that I would see, but I'm fascinated with that. Any kind of platform to tell stories, and so yeah, I've become really intrigued with it and involved with some stuff that's happening. So, but it's not any movies about me. I'm done with that.
Obviously, you didn't have your kids when back then,
right?
So you've had your kids over what, 20 years?
Yeah. When Imagine went #1, my firstborn, we just brought him home.
So what has been your greatest accomplishment as a dad?
My greatest accomplishment as a dad, well, I guess it wouldn't, as a dad or a husband, would be that I'm still married. Not that sounds impossible, but I grew up, my parents divorced when I was 3. And so just being together is incredibly important to me. I don't know how much I get credit for this, but one of my greatest joys is the fact that my kids love each other. And I have 5 kids, and they get along so well, and that's what we've always dreamed of, is one day that when they're adults, they just want to be back here and be with us. And man, I can't get my oldest to leave. He just loves being home, and I'm the guy that would probably let him live with me forever because I just love having them around. And so as a whole, the fact that I'm a father and a husband, I have 5 kids, and it's more than all the crazy stuff that happened with MercyMe was more of a reality than me having a successful family, because I'd never seen an example of it. And so not just proudest moment as a dad, but probably my proudest moment in my life is my healthy family, and just emotionally, and just in the fact that there's no other place I would rather be than with them.
So balance is real important to you.
Yeah, it is. And we had to learn the hard way, because, you have a season to where you say yes to everything because you want to provide, and then you realize that MercyMe is becoming the villain that takes daddy away from home. And we had to learn the hard way, but we finally learned to say no and cut our shows in half. And we're healthier now than we've ever been as far as balance goes.
Is part of that balance knowing what to accept, what not to accept? Do you ever come to the realization that in many cases less is more?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends. Yes, in some way, yes. I could apply that to so many things, but even with MercyMe, I remember when we decided we wanted to cut our shows way down, and we thought it'd be the beginning of the end, that people are going to forget about us, and because you have the mentality of, man, you got to play Minnesota several times, you got to stay in there, they're going to forget. There's a lot of bands out there, and what's funny is the second you say you're only going to do 50 shows a year instead of 150, and you're only going to be in Minnesota once in the next 2 years, actually the price started going up because every promoter wanted that one show, and supply and demand. And it was like, why didn't we figure this out years ago? We've been killing ourselves, and we knew what we needed to financially to provide for our crew and everybody, and just to make it. And we would hit it in no time, just out of a third of the shows. And I definitely, God bless that. And I know my family, my wife appreciated just the fact that it was like, if we need to cut back at whatever we need to do to make this work, it's just most important. I just want to be home more. I'm not going to get my kids back at this age. And so, yeah, we learned, and definitely a lesson we've learned during the pandemic, when touring stops and you don't know how things are going to end up financially in the long run, you start keeping an eye on things and realizing what's important.
And how do you deal with roadblocks when you see a detour sign in life and you're faced with a big roadblock? How do you deal with it?
Typically, I just go, okay, I wasn't supposed to go this way. And then just trust that whichever way I'm supposed to go is going to be clear. It's not always clear, but I've never been one, I don't think, to to have a frustration of this is the way I have to go. I'm like, okay, I don't know if I'm being kept safe from something or whatever it is, but I am the guy that if they say the vaccine works, I'm going to get the vaccine. I'm not trying to buck any system. that's the way I've always been. And that's kind of how I've been in my relationship with God, and just trying to be spirit led, and just like, okay, if it's not obvious, then, I'm listening. Tell me where to go.
Well, buddy, thanks a lot for coming in.
Oh, man.
It's been great hanging with you.
Being in person.
I know it's great to get back out there.
It is, yes.
I didn't even put the plexiglass up.
I know, this is crazy. It is insane. We're going rogue on this show.
Now, I don't want to get a call from you in about 7 days going, I got COVID. I think I got it at your place.
Yeah, I hope the mic worked.
Well, thank you much, and much success with this new album. And get out there and light one up for everybody. I guess I can't say light one. we have gone rogue.
That's awesome. Yes, it's been so long. That's awesome.
Don't forget to check out Kick Butt.
Yes, Spotify. That's right. Yes. Speaking of lighting one up.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Thanks, Bart. Thanks for stopping by the homestead. It's great to have you back here, and it's great to have all the artists back here. For months I did the Skype thing, the Zoom thing, but there's nothing like having our favorite people stop by the homestead here in Nashville, and we appreciate y'all. This has been CIA, Contagious Influencers of America, the podcast from the producers of Keep the Faith, and you can find out more about our radio show by going to KeepTheFaith.com, and you can also listen to some of our episodes. And of course, if you would like to hear more of our Contagious Influencers podcast episodes, simply go to ContagiousInfluencers.com. And for those of you who simply can't spell contagious or influencers, and I know I have days like that, just go to CIApodcast.com. You'll be able to get our podcast there too. This is David Sams. I have really enjoyed spending this time with you, and I can't wait to get back here and do another one of these. You know, I think we're up to like 120 or 30 episodes now. That's pretty crazy, and it's because you do take the time to rate and to review us and to share us with all your friends, and that's how we spread this good news. So I really appreciate it. So until next time, remember, go out there and live that life in living color, because it sure is a heck of a lot more interesting than living in black and white. See you next time.